Sleeping Prince, Awakening Beyond Form. This is a story about a young prince who spends his life trying to preserve everything he loves. When change finally enters the palace, he discovers that peace does not come from protecting form, but from awakening to what cannot be lost. Prince Soren lived in a palace built to resist time. The gardens were replanted before flowers faded. Cracked dishes disappeared before breakfast. If someone became ill, Soren was quietly moved to another wing. His father, King Arlen, believed good rulers prevented unpleasant surprises. "Why hide these things?" Soren once asked. "So you may remain focused on your future," the king replied. Soren accepted this. He studied diplomacy, history, music, and law. Yet sometimes he dreamed he was walking through the sleeping palace while a voice whispered, "Wake up." He always did, into another dream of being a prince. One spring morning, riding beyond the palace walls, Soren saw an old potter beside the road. Her hands trembled as she shaped clay. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No." "Then why do your hands shake? They have been alive a long time." Soren stared. "Does this happen to everyone?" "If they live long enough." Farther on, he saw a farmer kneeling beside a dying horse, stroking its neck and weeping. That evening, Soren confronted his father. "You knew, of course. Everything changes?" "Yes." "Everything?" The king's silence answered. For the first time, the palace did not look safe. It looked temporary. Soren began trying to defeat change. He asked physicians for stronger medicines and architects whether stone could be made permanent. He studied legends of rare herbs, secret springs, and hidden remedies. Nothing satisfied him. If bodies changed, he wanted one that would not. If relationships ended, he wanted guarantees. If kingdoms fell, he wanted a kingdom beyond danger. The more he tried to secure life, the more threatened life appeared. One night, the whisper returned. "Wake up." Soren rose and followed it through the dark palace until he reached the kitchen. There he found Mira, an elderly cook, drinking tea beside a candle. "You look like someone arguing with the universe," she said. "I'm trying to understand how people live knowing they can lose what they love." Mira poured another cup. "Perhaps love is not what gets lost." Soren frowned. She pointed to the candle. "What happens when this flame lights another?" "The second candle burns." "And what did the first flame lose?" "Nothing." Mira lit another candle, then another. "You are looking at life as though love were trapped inside the candle." Soren became still. "The body changes," she continued. "Roles change, kingdoms change, memories change. If you call the candle the source of light, every melting candle becomes a catastrophe. Are you saying death doesn't matter?" "No. Grief matters. Bodies deserve care. Kindness matters. How we treat one another matters." "Then what are you saying?" "That form can be honored without being mistaken for eternity." For weeks, Soren returned to the kitchen. Mira gave him no doctrine, only questions. "When you are afraid, what are you trying to preserve? When something changes, what do you believe has truly been taken? Can love still be present while form changes?" Gradually, Soren noticed that fear always spoke the same language. Keep this, prevent that, make tomorrow guarantee today. Then one autumn evening, King Arlen became ill. This time Soren did not flee to another wing. He sat beside his father. The king opened his eyes. "I tried to protect you from this." "I know. I thought safety meant keeping suffering away. So did I." "And now?" Soren held his hand. "Now I think safety may be something change cannot touch." For several days they talked, rested, remembered, and sometimes simply sat together. There was grief. There was fear. There was also a tenderness Soren had never found while trying to prevent loss. After the king died, Soren walked alone through the palace. Nothing had changed. Everything had changed. He found Mira lighting the morning stove. "I thought awakening would mean I stopped feeling pain." "No," she said. "Perhaps it means you stopped demanding that pain prove love is gone." Years later, when Soren became king, he changed an unusual palace rule. Nothing old was automatically hidden. Cracked bowls were repaired. Aging trees were honored. Children were allowed to visit the sick. Funerals were spoken of openly. And in the great hall, Soren placed no monument to permanence, only a simple golden lamp. Beneath it were the words, "The form changes. The light remains." Sometimes visitors asked what it meant. Soren smiled. "I spent years trying to keep the dream from changing. Then I discovered the invitation was to wake. May we sing, rest, and dance our way home together."